edition.
Let's go.
Welcome back, bro.
Oh, it's good to be back. It's good to be back. I hated leaving you out there on the front lines of the beginning of spring ball, but I had to do it for your safety.
For the health of the company.
Yeah, exactly.
We
couldn't have us both out.
Right.
Then we'd have a real problem.
Yes. I feel like I did pretty okay by myself.
Did great.
I definitely missed you, though. Not going to lie, man.
That's what teams are about, right?
That's true. It's very true. We're presented by Illegal Pete's, everyone's go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beers. What is up, chat? What a day we just had. It was Spring Media Day up at the University of Colorado. We had 5 press conferences. Rick George is the athletic director of the year. We have a NCAA tournament basketball game tonight. It's just, what a week.
There's a lot going on, and because I see a lot of chatter about it in the chat, we can't always know, especially when there's events going on in Boulder, when we are going to be live.
Yes.
So we are always doing our best to be on time.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, here and there, we're going to be 5 minutes late for something stupid. But when things are actually going on, they put 5 press conferences in front of us today with amounts of time in between them that we have no way of predicting. So we can go off of the schedule that we're given, which is, just so you guys know, what we get is be there by 10 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be approximately this many press conferences.
Yep.
That's all we get.
Yeah.
So from there, we try to predict what time we can go from Denver back to, or from Boulder back to Denver, be set up and do the show by. Today, it ended up being later than we expected. So it's not anyone's fault. It's just the way it is. Sometimes we're not going to be able to predict exactly when the show goes live.
We got a lot to get into, so let's get started. Starting with Coach Prime. I had this for the end of the show, but it's what he opened up with. He goes right away, Rick George, Athletic Director of the Year. Wow, that is awesome, isn't it?
It is awesome, man. What a deserving honor for Rick George, who absolutely pulled this program out of the depths of hell by going after and getting Coach Prime. For those of you who weren't here before, you truly cannot comprehend the vibes and how bad they were.
Yeah.
It was down and out. It was truly down and out. And there was names being thrown out there like Bronco Mendenhall, with all due respect.
Mm-hmm.
Who else?
I mean, we were throwing around guys who are coordinators still, Garrett Riley.
And all of these hires would have left Colorado fans with a bit of hope, right? There's always going to be a little bit of hope, but a lot of skepticism.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone would have been sitting there saying, I'll believe it when I see it. And what makes Coach Prime, I think, so special and so different is that he was able to get people to believe without seeing it.
Yep.
And that is an unbelievable gift that he has. And so overnight, and I mean, I literally remember sitting there with you on the set, waiting for the news to come down so we could go live. Not even overnight, I guess. With the snap of his fingers and with the vision of Rick George, Coach Prime saved Colorado football.
Yep.
And the fan base and the excitement and the brand and all of those things around it. And anyone can look back now and say, well, yeah, easy. Anyone would have done that. And it's just not true. Because if anyone could have done it, anyone would have, and they didn't.
Yep.
And Colorado was not the best job available in the country at that time, as much as I would love to say it is. But it took Rick George's vision, Rick George's, what's the word I'm looking for? Like ability to push through and make it happen.
Perseverance?
Perseverance is exactly what I knew. It started with a P. Rick George's perseverance and Rick George's just love of the university and desire to leave it in a better place than when he got here, to go and connect with Coach Prime on a level that made him say, you know what, that's where I'm needed. That's where I need to go.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't say enough about what he did just by bringing in Coach Prime, but he also got them into the Big 12 or back into the Big 12. CU basketball, there's some things that do need to be worked on in terms of NIL and some other things with the basketball program, but look at where they are. Both teams in the NCAA tournament. Skiing won a national title.
Let's go, baby. I haven't been on since that, I don't think.
Yeah, there's just so much. Like, CU Athletics really over the last, basically since I got here, 2 years, year and a half or so, has just dramatically just skyrocketed. And it's all because, I think, of Rick George's leadership.
Yeah, and like D Mills in the comments said RG hired Darrell. He sure did. He also had his back completely and firmly pressed against the wall when he made that hire. And, he had Mel Tucker to thank for that.
Yeah.
At the time, Mel Tucker was seen to be a great hire, which was then, the rug was pulled out from under him. But all that, like, no one's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about what's the most recent thing you've done.
Right.
And the most recent thing he did was hire Coach Prime and save Colorado football.
Yeah, and not to spend too much time on this, but his back was against the wall again because he had to make a big hire after Carl Durrell was fired. He had to find someone who could really, like you said, snap of a finger overnight, change the trajectory of Colorado football. And while a lot of people were saying it's a long shot, probably would never come to Colorado, blah, 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 he made it happen.
Yeah, and heck, I doubted it at first.
Sure.
I've told the story before, but within the first few days of the coaching search, someone brought up the name Coach Prime to me, and I was like, yeah, that would be amazing. But how is that going to happen? How are we going to make that happen? Why would he come here? And, that just goes to show how down bad we were. It was like, why would someone like that want us?
Right.
And it's another reason why I think Coach Prime has so much, I don't think the right word is leash, but so much, he has so much goodwill, there we go, with the Colorado fan base.
Yeah.
Because in the same way that we're talking about Rick George right now saving the program by going to get Coach Prime saved the program by wanting to come here.
Yep. This is all just what I tweeted, so if I miss anything that you have, jump in. But Coach Prime also gave an update on spring game broadcasting. He said, we're still waiting on television. We're waiting on probably Fox, still Pac-12 too, to see what they're going to do. And we got a little, I guess, extra information on that. It's contractual legal stuff with the Pac-12 network that we're kind of waiting for them to figure out, I guess.
Yeah, you had to imagine something was up, right? Mm-hmm. When, after the success that it had last year, the Colorado spring game wasn't going to be televised on ESPN. And it kind of makes sense now that you think about it. It's not something we considered when we first kind of heard the news that, Alabama would have the only one on ESPN.
I think so.
But technically, Colorado is still in the Pac-12
at that point,
and will be when the spring game happens. So the Pac-12 then technically has the rights, and that can create all sorts of legal loopholes that you're going to have to jump through. So makes sense. And I appreciate Coach Prime giving us that little breadcrumb for us to be able to see what's going on.
He also said he'd love to do it like ourselves too, right? Am I misremembering that? He mentioned that?
Yeah. I would have to hear exactly what he said over
right,
again.
But he kind of mentioned it though.
Yeah, and there you go. Jake Neely and RK broadcasting the spring game. Who's
Let's
in?
Go. With Alyssa down on the sidelines.
Dubs in the chat if you're in.
Let us know. And then he actually had his opening statement as the coach of the team and talking about the team. He said, good to be back. Had 2 really, really, really good practices. The staff to me is phenomenal from top to bottom. He mentioned the coordinators. We talked to them before he came in and just how insightful and bright they really are and how he feels a lot better. He didn't say that, but you could tell just the confidence around the building. Everyone there just feels so much better, so much more grounded, and just ready to kick some ass, man.
Yeah, this team, I said this from whenever the first meeting was, but this team has a different makeup about it. And I think the easiest way to tell, and Coach Prime denied this today, but I would disagree with him, is the way that he talks to them. Mm-hmm. He talks to them in a different way than I think he was talking to the team at this time last year.
Yes.
And it's because he's talking to his guys. He's talking to a roster that now he's almost 100% assembled by him. Mm-hmm. He's talking to the ones that I truly believe he believes can win double-digit or more games this season. Mm-hmm. And because of that, it's a little bit less I don't know what the word is, a little bit less like having to teach them what this is all about, and more motivating them towards pushing it further.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Before it was almost like he was having to teach them how to love the game.
Exactly.
Now it's like, he said it today, the guys that are in here, he was asked what's the difference between them. He said, the difference is I see a lot of people willing to sacrifice whatever it takes to get to the next level.
Yep.
And I saw a clip from LeBron's new podcast where he was talking about exactly that. And he was talking about what it takes to achieve greatness. And he said, sometimes you have to literally lose loved ones to achieve greatness. Now, not like lose them in that way, but there are certain people who are not going to understand that you have to dedicate anything and everything that you have to reach this greater goal. And I think anyone who has ever pushed extremely hard to achieve a goal realizes that there's moments in life when you have to pick like who's riding with me on this.
Yeah, definitely.
And you'll notice who are the people that are trying to pull you back to what where they know you from, and you're like, no, sorry, I gotta go.
Yeah.
And you grow apart from those people, and maybe that's a girlfriend or a friend or whatever. But when Coach Prime talks about what are you willing to sacrifice, he gave a whole speech the other day about this, and you truly have to give something up, whether that's social life, friends, family, whatever it may be. You're gonna have to lose something to go achieve that goal. And the fact that he feels like he has the guys around him now that believe in that and are willing to do that, I can hear that in the way that he talks to them.
I'm going to combine these two together. He was asked about the trenches and the running backs. First on the trenches, we were trying to address that for some time now. We feel as though we addressed a multitude of needs. We could use a little more depth at the linebacker positions, and we know what we still have coming. On the running backs, he was actually just asked about Alton, but he used it as a chance to talk about them as a whole. He said Alto looks good, Savion, Dillon, and Michael Welsh look good too, and we may add to that room as well.
Yeah, that was an interesting quote. I don't think that was for nothing.
No, definitely. I mean, he intentionally says what he says.
Yes. So prepare for running backs.
And linebackers.
Yep.
And trenches, honestly. He mentioned them too. Like, we're not done.
Oh, yeah.
Coach Prime, this was funny. He was asked about Shedeur potentially being a high draft pick. Before the guy could even finish the question, Coach Prime goes, no, stop. Shedeur would have been a high draft pick this year, and he's absolutely right. Yep,
Coach Prime and I are on the same page when it comes to that. I think Shedeur would have been quarterback 2 in this draft class.
Definitely.
Got a puppy checking in on us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people disagreed with me when I said that, but I stand by it. I think that he would have been QB2.
I think so as well. I mean, look at how much conversation there is about the quarterbacks after Caleb at this point.
Yep.
That's partly because there's not a solidified number 2 guy.
And I think it's all going to work out the way it's supposed to. And he'll be number 1 this year.
Yeah, we'll touch on that when we get to Shedeur here in just a second. Coach Prime was asked about the process of hiring Phil Loadholt as offensive line coach. He said, his knowledge, his thought process, the way he came to the interview ready and prepared, and what he could add to the room, he just had a commanding presence. He checked every darn box and then some. He's a gem. Thank God we got him because he is undarn believable. He's been there and done that, and that gives him instant credibility in his room. That room's going to be good. They're nasty. There was a fight today, and it was a good one. God, it was a good one.
As he said, I don't encourage it, but when I see it, it's not the worst thing to see. I loved the way that he talked about Coach Phil. I heard a certain strength in what he had to say, which was like, he 100% believes in him.
It kind of reminds me of, when Rick George was reaching out to Coach Prime about being offered this job, and Coach Prime kind of responded with his whole plan. It sounded like when Coach Prime reached out to Phil Loadholt, Coach Loadholt had his whole plan too laid out.
Yep.
Obviously, been there, did that at the NFL, was at Oklahoma as an analyst too. So he kind of has been there waiting for an opportunity like this, and Coach Prime gave it to him.
Love it.
Coach Prime and what he's seen from the team this year compared to last year, some dogs. These young men really understand the purpose and the goals. These guys are different, man. Last one I have here, unless you have anything else from Coach Prime. he responded to the article that attacked him for not going on visits. And I encourage you to check out the whole quote. We posted it on DNVR Buffs on Twitter. You could just also watch the entire press conference of coaches on our YouTube channel too. But in summary, he said, there was an article that came out that said I don't go on visits. My approach is very different than many other coaches. I really truly believe that parents don't want me in their house. They want to see what's going on here. I've never heard a player say, I chose this guy because he came to my house. I want them to come see Boulder.
Yeah, and honestly, I know I should have told you this before, Alyssa, but we should actually just grab that clip from our Twitter and play the whole thing here if we can in a second. Just on Coach Prime speaking on him not going on in-home visits, because I want everyone to hear the whole thing if they didn't already. Because
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, because it's so, I think, important to listen to. And this whole situation, I guess, for lack of a better term, comes back to something that is so true of just about every criticism that Coach Prime receives, in my opinion. People really don't like that he does it differently. It makes them uncomfortable. It makes them feel like this guy thinks he knows better than us and blah, blah. And I've talked about it before when it comes to the recruiting services. It also applies to current coaches. It's everyone's like, oh, he's undercutting what is important to us. Just like what I talked about with the recruiting services, want to pound him for not going after freshmen. Right. Why? Because their whole backbone is scouting freshmen and giving them ratings and all of that. And so, of course, they don't like that Coach Prime isn't as interested in high school recruits. Right. And I think the same is true when you hear these people. I mean, that whole article was quoting people talking about like the 80s and 90s.
I know. Yeah.
It's so odd. But people see that he's doing this in a way that is not what they're used to, and they just immediately assume that's wrong.
Right.
But I think the most important thing about his statement was his closing statement, which was, because I'm Coach Prime.
Yep.
And I don't stutter when I say that.
Yep.
And that's the thing, is it's like,
so good.
No one's going to do it like him. No one can do it like him. No one should try to do it like him, because of course he has to do things differently. He's Coach Prime.
When I was thinking about this, the only thing I kept going back to is when he said, we're going to change the game. And it's like, what part of that do you guys not understand?
Yes.
We're going to change the game doesn't mean, oh, I'm just going to do this little thing different. No, he is talking about doing everything differently. College football is being flipped on its head in many ways, and he's part of that. And how he's trying to do this program, how he's trying to recruit, just build up this thing from the ashes up. It's completely different. It's unprecedented too.
Yes.
You can't tell him what's right or wrong.
100% not. Do we have that?
It's 3 minutes, by the way, so.
Let's do it.
All right, send it.
They are, you can just raise your hand like we did when we were in nursery. They said here. There's an article that came out that said, I don't go on visits.
He's not here, Coach.
Okay. My approach is totally different than many approach. Sometimes I'm a businessman as well, so I try to save our university money every darn chance I get. So for me to go to, let's just say I'm going to Florida and I'm visiting whatever school, IMG. You don't think those coaches are going to be a little upset if I don't come by the school down the street? You don't think it's going to be pandemonium if I'm going to get naysayed if I don't go another 45 minutes? Then if I go to that one, then I go, why I didn't come to that school? Now the coach is mad, so he's not going to let the kid come because he's mad because I chose to go to that school over that school. See, other coaches, they can do that, but I can't. And I've really pretty much done a personal survey. I really, truly, and all my heart believe that parents don't want me in their house. They want to come see my house. They want to see how I live, how I get down. They want to see what I got going on, what God has done in my life. I know when I was in college, I did not want Bobby Bowden in my house because I knew after 7 o'clock it was going to be rats and roaches on parade doing their thing. So that was just straight up, honestly. I didn't. So that never transpired. That never happened for me. And we target mostly guys that's in the portal. When do you make visits to portal guys' homes? Anybody do that? Do they do that? I don't do. Anybody? Have you guys heard of that? I don't. I think when a guy is in his 20s and he has 1 or 2 more shots, he don't give a darn about the picture. He don't give a darn about the parade that you want to take him on. He wants to know, okay, how are you going to use me? How can you help me get to the league? And what am I going to get paid? That's it. That's the world we live in now. And I have never heard one guy say, I chose this college because this coach came by my career. Have you? It's different now. The parents, I love them. And I want to show them Boulder. I want them to see this and how beautiful it is and why I'm so eager and how much I love this city and this state and this team. I want them to see that because guess what? That's where the kid is coming. Kid coming here. Going there is just showcase for me. This is blowing money. It's blowing a bag. Don't make sense. And I can't do the things other coaches can do. You know what? I'm Coach Bryant. And I didn't stutter when I said it.
So that he like laughs at himself too. It's so good.
So good. And I think that people are always looking for something to criticize him for because, again, it's not what they're used to and it's not what they like. Mm-hmm. But this is a guy who has had the #1 transfer portal class 2 years in a row. I don't know if it's still sitting at #1.
We lost it. We said we have time to get it back.
Yeah, we'll get it back. And a person who has landed Travis Hunter as a freshman, Cormani McClain as a 5-star freshman, Jordan Seaton as a 5-star freshman, countless other incredibly talented players, and is doing it the way that he planned on doing it. And it just doesn't make sense to me for everyone to complain about it because it's working.
Yeah. Can you get the Cornhusker guy out of here, please?
Thanks for the view, though.
Yeah, appreciate you.
See ya.
Yeah, man. I mean, how many times do we have to say it? This team is about getting players to win now. That's why he recruits the portal, and he's exactly right. You don't go on in-home visits for portal, which is 80 to 90% of his recruiting. So it's crazy. And he is the reporter here about it's another guy who's not even in Colorado who makes a piece, about sitting on their high horse, how Coach Prime's doing it wrong anyways. So
yeah.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah, it is funny to me that like Coach Prime didn't even know, was it right. A local, was it national, like whatever. He doesn't care. But I think it's a point that we hadn't discussed when we talk about this, which was how's everyone else going to feel? If you do one, do you got to do them all? And I hadn't thought about that. If you go to one school, do you have to go to all the schools?
Yeah.
Especially when you're Coach Prime, right? Because everything that you do is a lot more publicized.
Yes.
Coach Prime pulls up to IMG. There's like 12 videos on Instagram about it. Everyone knows that Coach Prime was at IMG.
Of course he was at IMG.
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
If Brennan pulls up to IMG, I'm sorry, no one even knows him from what's the names that Coach Prime rattles off? Tom, Jim, Larry.
Tom, Dick, and Larry.
Yeah, no one knows him from Tom, Dick, and Larry.
Yes.
He can just walk through there and people will be like, oh, I noticed he was wearing Arizona gear.
Right.
Coach Prime doesn't have that luxury.
Yep.
And while I do think he can keep the in-home visit as an ace in the hole in his back pocket to maybe like he closes down Julian Lewis or something like that.
Right, sure.
With one in-home visit. I think he's right when he says that people would rather come to Colorado. And we talked about this before, but it's like it's all over Well-Off. It's all over Instagram. People are seeing all of this stuff in Boulder, and it's like they want to go see it. And my last point that I'll make on this is this. You can only do one in-home visit at a time. One. Yeah. You could maybe do 3 in a day, but most parents want to have you over for dinner or something like that. It's not like you just like go show up, knock on the door, talk for a few minutes and leave. It's like a whole thing. Coach Prime can do 30 of those in Boulder.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't, to me, it's about maximizing your resources and maximizing like your total Coach Prime.
Right.
If Coach Prime's doing that on a Saturday, it means he can't do anything else.
Yep.
Whereas if you have 30 recruits on campus, now everyone's getting a little piece. And I think it also creates a little bit of scarcity. It's like, Coach Prime's not coming to you.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go to him.
And someone said it in the comments. Sorry, I don't remember who said it, but when you bring people in like that and you're able to have these like massive visit weekends, you've seen how valuable that is and we've talked to some guys on the team how, oh yeah, I was there on so-and-so's visit and him and I have been really close since then, and like how that already starts to build.
Shedeur and LeJohntay Wester
exactly
go all the way back to a visit.
Yes. So it's nonsense to me. I'm glad he addressed it today though. He ended his press conference by saying Coach Sapp had just texted him, good morning / good afternoon.
Can't wait to see Coach Sapp in Boulder.
We're going, do we want to hit this break or do we want to do Shedeur real quick? We got 4 more to get through.
Let's hit a break. We're at 27 minutes.
All right.
I like when you make decisions like that for us, Alyssa.
Yeah, thank you, Alyssa.
Save us from ourselves.
It is time to chill. Come chill with us down at the DNVR bar today. Crush some Coors Light as we watch the Buffs in the NCAA tournament. Coors Light's just the GOAT, man. I can't wait till this week is over so I can crush a few worry-free because it's been a busy one. And today's not even close to being done.
I know. I need to get home, maybe have a little Coors latte.
There you go.
Well, I relax before this basketball game tonight.
Yes, sir.
Gotta get my nerves down.
When it's time to chill, Coors Light is the beer I reach for. So when you want to hit reset, grab the beer that's made to chill. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Also, make sure you check out the Circa Sportsbook Colorado app. Yes, that's right. You can have all of the great odds that we can get when we're on the ground at Circa here in Colorado. And in my opinion, right now is the mecca of sports betting. March Madness, sports betting. I don't know what I was doing before it because like your bracket could get busted in day one.
Right.
The bets are always alive. And I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret that Andre and I have been doing.
You're going to share it.
For 2 years
All
now.
right.
Yes, I'm willing to share the gospel.
Okay.
2 years in a row, Andre and I have bet the underdog, betting underdog. Don't get confused by the seeding. The betting underdog in every single game of the tournament. You close your eyes, you just hit underdog, underdog, underdog. There's no thought put into this. In both years, year one, I believe we were plus 17 units. Year two, I think we were plus 22 units.
Shout out Fairleigh Dickinson.
Yes, shout out Fairleigh Dickinson. And that's the exact point of this, is there are going to be huge upsets that happen. You guarantee you're on those, and it helps you in the long term. So to me, it's the most fun way to watch March Madness. You could put whatever you're comfortable with, $5 on every game, $1 on every game, whatever.
Sure.
But you make yourself root for the underdog unequivocally, and it just makes March Madness the best. So go over to circasports.com to download the Circus Bets app. Bets can only be made while physically located in the state of Colorado. If you're using the Colorado version of the app, must be 21 or older, all rights reserved. Circus Sportsbook Colorado encourages you to gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER or visit problemgamblingcolorado.org.
All right. Shedeur we'll do next here.
I also might add every under this year because unders hit it like 75% last year and 59% the year before.
I saw Big Cat tweet out the live over in that CSU game. What a bet that was. I don't know if you saw that tweet.
Yeah, it was. That game was a disgrace to basketball.
The committee has some questions to answer, that's for sure.
Yes.
All right, let's try and go a little quicker here. Shedeur, I mean, we had him at Super Bowl, so I feel like we already got to kind of ask him everything we wanted to ask him. So a lot of this was just about, how are you feeling? You know, what was it like? Blah, blah, blah. So Shedeur said, I feel great. I feel kind of how I feel like at the beginning of last season. I feel real comfortable. I feel like I'm getting bigger too. He was asked about Travis Hunter's usage and where the team has improved the most. He said, Trav's a dog. He's going to be on the field regardless. Main thing we've got to give credit to is the O-line. That's the main improvement. He was asked if he thought about declaring for the NFL draft after the end of last season. He said, nah, we didn't end it the right way.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a new season slogan, unfinished business.
Mm-hmm.
It's family business, unfinished family business.
There you go.
I love that. And I think that when I heard that, it like hit a different note for me. That's like that hit a note for me as a Colorado fan, not just as a Shedeur Sanders fan. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
I'm just watching Shedeur Sanders to me is like such a gift. I love watching him play football, but that was like a real Colorado answer. Like, no, like I had to end the right way here.
Yep.
I couldn't end that way, which I thought was awesome.
He was asked about Jordan Seaton and his confidence in having a true freshman being such a key cog of that offensive line. He said, I'm extremely confident. Jordan definitely showed me that he's ready. He showed me a lot that I didn't expect from him. The fact he's able to listen on and off the field and get wisdom from other players. I'm really excited, and I'm really happy about Jordan and his decision. He made the right one. I feel like he's a generational player.
A what?
Generational player.
That perked my ears. And you know my feelings about the term generational player.
Yep.
Can only say it about one person per generation.
Yep.
So I think he really does have that. The Trent Williams comps, like all of that stuff. It's incredibly high praise, but I think that he has the ability to become that level of player. I think he can be a generational player. And if he is a generational player, it means fantastic things for the Colorado Buffaloes and Shedeur this year. And it's not nothing to me that Shedeur has really gravitated towards Jordan and vice versa. And I think it's more vice versa. Jordan's gravitated to Shedeur, but Shedeur, I think, has taken him under his wing. They've become like true friends. And it's I don't think he would be in that position if Shedeur didn't trust him on and off the field.
Definitely.
And that's big. But I think it's funny. I don't know if you catch this, but when Jordan talks, sometimes he talks a little bit like Shedeur.
Yeah.
Like, especially when he's like almost doing like a little like prime impersonation.
Yep.
Like he does it the exact same way that Shedeur does it. And
Justin Mayers does it the same way too.
I think it's great, man. I think those guys
awesome.
are all really, really bonding. And it's, like I said, it's not nothing to me that Jordan and Shedeur have become like close.
We'll get to Jordan here very shortly. Last thing I have with Shedeur was on his relationship with Pat Shurmur. He understands me as a person. That's the main thing with anybody. You've got to have someone that understands you. You don't have to change or act a different way. Coach Pat, we have a great relationship. And it goes back to what you just said about him and Jordan. And Shedeur told us straight up, trust, and how important that is to him. And we know that, obviously, but it's what he's really like focusing all his life relationships around is trust.
Well, and I think that to understand that, first of all, I think everyone feels that way, right?
For sure.
We all want to be surrounded by people that we trust. But at the same time, it's a bigger deal when you are part of the Sanders family or any family of that ilk. And the reason I say that is because when there's money and fame involved, there's always going to be people who want to be around you for the wrong reasons. They want, I saw Bucky. Did you see Bucky's Instagram story yesterday talking about, he's like, so weird. Every time someone asks me for money or says they need my help with something, I lose service on my phone. Like, sorry, it's not me. But like, there's always going to be people tugging from behind saying, hey, wait, bring me with, can I be a part of that? And so naturally your circle gets a little tighter and it's harder to enter that circle because you just don't know who you can trust and who you can't. And so trust is everything for him. But when he was saying that, something struck me. From a personality standpoint, Shedeur Sanders and Sean Lewis are not like each other at all.
Yes.
Sean Lewis was all energy, all speed. He wants to go fast. He wants, and
2 claps and a Ric Flair.
Yeah, it's very in your face, loud, and for some people that can really work, But when you think about Shedeur, how low key he is, how chill he is, and then you think about Pat Shurmur.
Yep.
Also very low key, maybe even more than Shedeur, although I'm starting to see, different side of Pat come out with a little more energy. But from a personality standpoint, I think those two are a lot more in sync. So when Shedeur says you don't have to change, I'm sure when your coach is doing this certain thing, hey, we got to go, you're like, okay, well, if that's what he wants, that's what I got to try and, instill. And then all of a sudden you're around a guy who is much more methodical and, much more your pace. And I feel like that probably means it's probably very comforting for Shedeur. And, you got to remember, we're talking about a very young person here. Like, he might not have realized what was happening last year. Now he's saying, oh, man, I can really, really just be myself.
Yep. On to Jordan Seaton. He said he was asked about gelling with his teammates and fellow offensive linemen. He said it's been very good. I'm playing with a lot of people with experience that are veterans. I asked him about Coach Lodeholt. He said, even when I do good, he finds something to pick out. With him, it's not about being the best right now, but being the best in the long run. Great quote from Jordan. And then on blocking for Shedeur, he said, whoever's behind me at quarterback, I'm going to block my butt off. The bond Shedeur and I have, it makes you want to go a little bit harder. With Shedeur back there, he's so calm and he moves in the pocket so well, he makes my job easier. He also said Shedeur will be the number 1 overall pick next season. Yeah,
the question was something like, Shedeur might end up being the number 1 pick, and he interrupts that he will be.
Yep.
Loved it.
This is my favorite quote. He's asked about his favorite trip with Shedeur this offseason. He goes, it's actually not a trip, but GTA. We play GTA all day. We literally do that every single day. But as far as trip goes, Miami.
I love it. And then he talked about how they go to the casino in GTA, and that totally brought me back to our conversation with Shedeur in Vegas.
Yeah.
And I was so confused about something that happened with him because we're in Vegas. And Shedeur's talking about, when I go to the craps table with the offensive linemen, we all bet on the same number. Like he's talking about like how in sync they were.
Yeah.
In my head, we're in Vegas. He was talking about real life gambling. So then he was talking about how everything for him is about number 2, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, so then when you go to the craps table, the roulette table, are you putting everything on 2? And he's like, nah, I don't gamble like that. And I was like, didn't you just say that you were playing roulette with the boys? Like, what's going on here? Are you switching up on it? Now it all makes sense. He was talking about roulette in GTA, not in Vegas.
GTA Casino gets lit, bro.
I didn't know that was a thing.
GTA Online is a different world. GTA Online is different.
So that's it's basically like the metaverse then.
It's pretty fucking close, bro.
Damn.
You can get an apartment, all these cars, you go to casinos, do all these, you can play golf and shit.
But you're online.
Yeah.
So your friends can be.
Yeah.
So it is like the metaverse.
Yeah, pretty much.
Damn. It's crazy.
Jordan Seaton on his impressions of the college level so far. He said, the game is faster, but Coach Mo in the weight room is getting me stronger. Just the little things. What kind of set or angle I need to take on this play. It's a game about leverage and angles. Just knowing the little things of the game can elevate your game to its ceiling. This is stuff a pro says.
I know, man. And let me just stop to take a second to appreciate not just Seat for being up there today, but also to Coach Prime for making Jordan Seaton available. And that might sound so obvious.
Yeah, yeah.
There are several programs around the country who won't make freshmen available ever in their freshman season. I don't know if CSU still does this, but I think, oh man, I wish I could remember who it was. I think it was Capri Bibbs who was having a record-setting season. I think he ended up setting at the time, the NCAA record for rushing touchdowns in a season. And he wasn't available to the media because he was a newcomer.
Yeah.
And they didn't make any newcomers available to the media.
We didn't hear from Johnny Manziel his entire Heisman season because he was a true freshman and it was the same rule.
Exactly. And what a weird rule. But I love that Coach Prime brings in guys and puts his trust in them that they can handle themselves from day one.
Yeah. Last Jordan quote I have is how Coach Prime in Colorado recruited him differently than any other school. He said, every visit I went on, they told me how good I was. I came here, and Coach Prime told me 3 things I need to work on. I don't like to have yes men in my ear. And it's goat talk. Honestly, that's what that is. Like,
Yes.
no one if you're that good and you know you're that good, you don't want to be told how good you are. You want to help yourself improve on that and grow even more. Like, kid's 18, he's not a finished product, and he knows that. Jordan's a really smart guy too. So the fact that Coach Prime and him were able to connect like that right away, it makes so much sense why he wanted to come here so bad.
And I think it goes back to something that Coach Prime always says, which is that he's not selling anything to recruits.
Yes.
If you're selling, you've been around a salesperson, especially a pushy one, depending on wherever, maybe a car salesman or whatever. You've been around someone who's like, oh man, Jake, I really like that hoodie.
Yeah.
That looks really cool. Man, can you imagine the way I would look in that new Ford F-150? Like they're gassing you up to sell you something. I don't think Coach Prime rolls that way. And this is very clear that that's not how he does. I'm sure he, tells Jordan, you're incredibly talented and I can see you holding it down on the left side of the line. But instead of buttering him up and saying, hey, whatever number you want to wear is yours, and that, and the other, or you tell me where you want your locker. It's like, hey, man, here are 3 things that I see in you that if you take care of these things, I believe you can be great. And you didn't have it in the part that you tweeted out, but I thought it was the most notable part about it is he said, Coach Prime was giving me that advice before I ever committed to be a Colorado Buffalo.
Yeah.
He was invested in me being the best version of me, regardless of whether I came to see you. And I think it takes a lot of maturity to realize that in the first place, but we already know that Jordan's mature beyond his years. But I think it really is. It goes to show something we talked about a million times. Coach Prime really cares about people.
Yeah.
He wants the best for everyone. And I love that Jordan recognized that. I love that Coach Prime is that way. And I love that it all ended up with Jordan Seaton holding it down.
Yep. Again, Jordan Seaton was very impressive today. Like,
He was.
It's amazing he's only 18, 19, however old he is.
I know. Can you imagine him 3 years from now too?
Oh, it's fun to imagine. I'll say that.
Yep. And he said one of the things that Coach Prime told he can work on is just his stature, right? Looking the part. And you're already seeing he's getting bigger and stronger and more defined. It's crazy.
Yeah. Coach Livingston, let's do this one. He was actually first up today. First question he was asked about when he was first contacted about joining Coach Prime at CU. He said, we spoke after the NFL season. We Zoomed a couple times. I came out probably late January. I always said right person, right place, and I felt a great connection with the head coach, Coach Prime. I came over 36 out of Denver and saw that lookout and said that this would be the place. How many times have we heard that? How many times have you heard that in your life?
A million. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that because that's exactly what my biological dad said happened to him when the first time he came to Boulder. So it's there's something about it, right? There's a magic to it when you come over that pass into the valley, into Boulder Valley, that it's magnetic.
Coach Livingston called Colorado skill positions elite. He said that's something that stood out about the roster. On the talent in the secondary, he said, you've got competition everywhere. As we start working the different packages, let's have our best 11 out there at all times. He's talked about that at length anytime he's really spoken in front of a camera since he's gotten to Colorado. On the philosophy of his defense, he says, I don't have one. I have non-negotiables. We'll be the hardest working team in the country, among a few others. We're going to take the offseason and take what we do well. It's not my defense. It's not the staff's defense. It's our defense.
Amen.
He also added, if we play great defense, when we play great defense, he clarified that. The players deserve all the credit. If we're no good, it's all my fault. Accountability.
Love it. I love that. He really hammered that point in. They get all the credit. I get all the blame.
Yep.
That's leadership.
He was asked about Travis Hunter. He called him a unicorn. He said Travis can be elite at whatever he wants to be. The first thing you notice about Travis is he's genuine. There's no facade. He can be a shutdown corner. He played some offense today. What's amazing about him is how he studied. I've been really amazed about who Travis is and his ability to retain information. Again, this is just, we hear this from Coach Swick. We hear this from Coach Prime. We hear this from Shedeur. Anyone who's been around Travis and knows him, all say the same thing.
Yeah. I know we've talked about it before, but that the amazing thing about him is how he studies. When you're saying that about someone who's already elite talent in the talent department, that's how you know greatness is on the way.
Yep. Definitely.
It's already here, really.
Do you have anything else from Coach Livingston before we wrap up with Shurmur here?
Nope.
So, Pat Shurmur, I asked him about Dylan Edwards and his role this season. He said he can be very dynamic with the ball in his hands. He got kind of banged up too. He fought through it. We're going to try to use his strengths this year and do it from day one. And he really emphasized that Dylan was not himself after a certain point during the season last year. He was really battling through some injuries and stuff. And he also emphasized this too, that they're planning on installing plays for Dylan and building some of the offense around him from now, like early on. And they're not going to try, and I guess last year this is what was happening. They were just trying to maybe shoehorn Dylan into the game plan and just go, oh, he's got so much speed, we got to get him the ball. And to a certain point, yes, but you also got to be a football mind. You got to be a coach with it. So they're actually building up a whole entire package offense around him, really. Yeah,
and he obviously didn't want to give too much away, but he immediately mentioned the perimeter and things like that. And those are things that we talk about. But I wouldn't be too quick to say that Dylan Edwards is not capable of running between the tackles. I've been, I think, maybe the last person on this boat. But last year, no one could run between anything because there were no holes there.
Yeah.
And so, of course, it looked bad, right, when you're handing the ball off to Dylan Edwards and you want to get him on the edge and they try to go inside zone or whatever and it gets stuffed up and it's like he can't run between the tackles. I don't think that was a Dylan Edwards problem. I think that was an offensive line problem. And the truth is, you can't always go to the perimeter when Dylan Edwards is on the field because then the defense is going to be ready to go defend the perimeter. But I think that as long as there's holes there, I want Dylan Edwards running between the tackles because then you're
one cut and gone.
Yeah, exactly. You're gashing the defense from a vulnerable spot, and he's got to beat one person and he's out of there. So I understand the overarching feeling, which is that's not going to be his greatest skill, and I fully believe in that. But I'm just saying, don't be surprised if you see Dylan Edwards score a couple touchdowns this year on plays that started with him going between the tackles.
Yep, absolutely. Pat Shurmur was asked about the differences between last year's scheme and this year's. He said, we need to protect the passer and run the ball much better than last year. We have to use the strengths of our dynamic quarterback and throw the ball. He went in depth. Last year we didn't really have any tight ends. Even when you're in 11, you're playing in 10. He went in depth without giving away too much, though. He talked a lot about, looking back on last year. But, yeah, you're not going to get much about this year's offense out of him right now.
As you shouldn't.
He's asked about Shedeur's ability. He said he's got an uncanny ability to throw the ball accurately. He has a really good feel for it. What's open, what's not, and where to put the ball. We've just got to improve on all those things. I think that question was really about elevating him to number 1 overall pick worthy.
Yep.
Which pretty much already is. I saw someone mention this in the comments. Pat Shurmur was asked directly about Sean Lewis, so that's why he was talking about Sean Lewis. If you saw quotes or clips about him talking about Sean Lewis's offense and mentioning him by name, he wasn't trying to go at him or anything.
No.
He said, I think some of the things that we did well, we'll try to incorporate and keep going with, but there's going to be some other things that are way different.
As there should be.
That's all I got. Anything else that you have? Otherwise, that's it.
I don't think so. I did like him talking about being re-energized by the younger players being around him. It's something that we've talked about here. I saw it on Well-Off. You can see that he's got a pep in his step. Now, I also had to check myself and remember I didn't get to see what he was like on the field when he was coaching the Broncos because we don't get Well-Off with every team we ever watch. All I ever saw was Pat Shurmur in a press conference, which, with all due respect to Coach Shurmur, he's not someone who's going to go light up a press conference the way that Coach Prime can. So you saw this guy who's kind of low energy. When you see him in the Well-Off videos and he's joking around with the guys, you're like, oh, I can see why someone like Shedeur really likes Pat Shurmur. But I do feel like there is a lot of energy that he has for this game. He obviously loves the game. And I think that it has been reinvigorated by being around all these players who he says are constantly coming up to him saying, tell me about Michael Vick. Tell me about how T.O. approached the game. Like, it's got to be a great feeling for him to be able to impart some of the knowledge and share some of the experience that he's had on these people, these young men who are just sponges. They want to soak it all up.
Yep. Yeah, he fits right in, honestly. And I know, like, even when he was hired last year as an analyst, there was a lot of, griping and moaning about his time in the NFL, especially with the Broncos and how it didn't work out. And it did. I think there was an adjustment period for sure. Like, even that first time he was thrown on the podium, it was completely different than it was today.
Yep.
So he's really settled in, and I think he's going to do a really good job, honestly, at Colorado.
Didn't he just casually say, though, that day, like, Shedeur's the best quarterback in the country? Didn't he just, like, he threw that in there, and it was like, wow, he didn't say much, but he did say this.
I think so, if I remember right, yeah. Yeah, what a day.
Great day. So great to be back up there in Boulder and just...
Yeah, that was your first day back in a minute,
dude,
man.
It's been since I recorded my last hit for the Prime documentary.
Oh, wow.
Since I'd been on campus, at least.
Well, we were up there, I guess, for the premiere.
That's true, but that's basketball.
Yeah.
I guess I'm thinking in the Champions Center.
Yes. It's been a good 4 months. This is how I felt on Monday. I was buzzing on Monday, just being back up there. Shout out to Legal Pete's. Guys, if you want to compete with us in March Madness bracket challenges, join the DNVR and Illegal Pete's bracket challenge for free. Prizes for the top 3 finishes include diehard memberships, shirts, and gift cards to the DNVR locker, and Illegal Pete's gift cards. Check our socials for the link to sign up. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff, DNVR_sports or DNVR_buffs. But Illegal Pete's just the GOAT, man. It's almost patio season. It's spring, technically. I guess it basically is patio season.
Is it spring?
Yeah, I think Monday or Tuesday was the
Spring
first
has
day.
sprung.
Till it snows tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true.
It's supposed to snow tomorrow?
No, she's joking.
Come on.
Wait, for real?
No, Sunday. No, Monday now.
Illegal
We got
Pete's,
67 on Saturday. Let's go.
your go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beers.
Also, check out our friends over at American Financing. Call them at 303-695-7000 to get set up at American Financing. How much is it? What is it? There it is, $854 a month.
Yep.
Customers save when they use American Financing. So call American Financing and you make close in as fast as 10 days and may be able to delay your first 2 mortgage payments. Call them today and tell them DNVR sent you at 303-695-7000. That's 303-695-7000. American Financing. Oh, MLS 18234, NMLSconsumeraccess.org. NMLS.
We already talked about Rick George. Do you want to touch on him again before we move on to a few other things?
Nope. Thankful for him.
Yep. Congrats, Rick George.
By the way, had you seen the all gold Coach Prime?
What he was wearing today?
Yeah.
No, that was the first time I saw them.
I thought that was the first time anyone had seen them. All I'm asking, because all of these are sick.
Yeah.
I just need a white on white. I need the white on white Coach Primes.
Of course you do, yep. Something I want to clear up real quick, because we talked about this yesterday when Nikki was here, about Demoy Kennedy and David Connor. Even if they're not listed on the roster at this point, they're still with the program.
Yes.
So let's let this whole spring football thing play out, and then we'll see who enters the portal when we're done with spring football and guys are making their decisions then, because no one's going to be entering you can't enter the portal right now, first off, and there's just a lot of things working out for a lot of guys on the team. So
yeah. You can ask for patience all you want. You're not going to get it.
I just wanted to clarify.
I know. And I think it's important to clarify because it obviously when you see people removed from the roster, your mind immediately thinks, okay, they're off the team or they're out of the program entirely. And that's not necessarily true for these guys.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I saw Bishop walking out of the facility yesterday too. So it's like there's just a lot going on.
Yep.
CU basketball today in the tournament, first 4, but fighting to be the 10 seed to take on Florida. They got Boise State tonight. I kind of talked about this matchup with Dre on Monday, but this is a matchup that we had in non-conference last year. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, one of the preseason tournaments, right?
Yeah, the Myrtle Beach one.
Yep.
Boise State won by like 12 or 13 points. Colorado has a chance to get revenge and win an NCAA tournament game with it.
I'm nervous. I'm officially nervous.
Really?
Yep.
I feel good about it, man.
I was nervous before the Utah game of the Pac-12 tournament, and then not nervous again the rest of it. And I'm nervous today just because I never know. Like, I believe in this team, I really do, but I just never know how they're going to come out. And I just hope they find a way to shake the nerves, because this team does not play well when they play nervous.
Well,
and you saw it in the Pac-12 championship game. They didn't have their wits about them. They were jumpy. They were twitchy. And it results in turnovers and bad plays and ill-advised shots. And so I'm just hoping that, like, that's Tad's biggest job today. Get these guys to come out calm and play Colorado basketball. If they do that, I believe they win.
You absolutely nailed it. I think that was just in the press conference after the Oregon game and the Pac-12 title game, and just seeing how broken KJ and Tristan were after that performance. I think they just realized, you know, once the game's over and you had a chance to kind of look back and think through everything, it's just like, maybe we're just pressing too much. And I think this team just needs to realize, if they just play as who they are and up to their abilities, like, they're a damn good basketball team. Like, you don't have to play hero ball and try and make up for whatever deficiencies you got going on, because the team is damn near as healthy as it's been at this point. Julian Hammond's still doubtful, I think, so not completely healthy. But if everyone just does what they're capable of, trusts their teammates, and just takes a deep breath, you know, if you get into a situation 5 minutes left in the game like they were against Oregon and you're up by 1, like, just realize there's still a lot of time left in that game. Even one mistake is something you can live with. Just don't let them compound on top of each other.
Yeah, totally. It felt like with KJ, not to just harp on old stuff, but it felt like the sunk cost fallacy, which was like, he kept trying to make these crazy passes. It didn't work. And he's like, well, I'm already doing these. I'll just do another one. I'll get my money back if I, just double my bet. And he kept getting further and further in the hole. It's tough, because this is going to be his first time ever playing in the tournament. So you just don't know. That's my only worry. I will say this. I think advantage Buffs in the sense that they were happy to be here. Not thrilled. No one wants to go to Dayton, right? But they're happy to be in the tournament. Boise, from Jump Street, has just been complaining. Thought we deserved better. We didn't expect to be playing here. You know, they felt like they're kind of they felt like they were disrespected. Yeah. And obviously you can channel that in a positive way. I don't know. That's the way I look at bowl games, right? If a team feels like they were snubbed from the college football playoff, they seemingly never play well in their
Florida State.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking about. But even going back to the Buffs, when they were snubbed from the national title in 2001, they went and played Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl and just like laid an egg. And Matt McChesney has told us, like, yeah, we were all just pissed. Like, we didn't think we should have been there. And it's a little bit different when you're playing for a spot in the tournament. But I think I like the Buffs' approach to being here. Hey, we're in, thank God, rather than, we've been disrespected. We should have been a higher seed.
Circus Sportsbook has Colorado as 3.5-point favorites. The over-under set at 143.5. CU minus 165 on the money line.
That's been moving.
Yeah. Colorado's been favored, I think, in last 5 or 6 games at least.
Can we pick a, so someone said, what is RK's real name? Let's pick a favorite here. Ricardo Kleesberg.
I like that one.
Ronaldo Knox. That's my favorite, I think, so far. Rich the Kid. Ron Kentucky. That seems like a adult film star. Rupert Koenigsegg. Way too classy for me. I like Ronaldo Knox.
Those are great. What was the first one? It was Ricardo something?
Ricardo Kleesberg.
That's my favorite. All right, awesome. What's up, chat? What questions we got? Hit the like button also.
Oh yeah. That's for next game. I had a thought about matchups in basketball, but then I realized that's only if the Buffs beat Boise.
We'll talk
about back-to-back blue and orange teams.
Yeah.
If you win.
Let's tentatively plan on talking about Florida tomorrow.
I would love to. Love to.
You got this one. I got the last 2 days.
All right, Big Teasy with the super sticker, $20. Let's go. Hippo character stands idle whilst his new and most powerful body attachments do their things with the word OP in the background. What?
So good.
I think you said earlier it has to do with the press conferences today. I wanna say.
Okay,
All right,
all
we'll
right.
take it. Lamar. See, this is what I was talking about. Do you feel like Coach Shurmur is having a dig at Sean Lewis with the play calling comments? No, I don't think so at all. I think he was just responding to the questions that were asked and trying to give as much context as possible.
That being said, I think that if you got Coach Shurmur on Truth Serum
Yeah,
and got to ask him about what he thought about the play calling last year, I think you could get some juicy stuff.
I definitely think so. Lone Wolf. I'm more and more impressed with Livingston the more he talks. Are you becoming more of a fan of him as well? Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, not to say I was ever not a fan of him.
Right.
But he feels like a really good fit
Yeah.
for this defense.
Yep. I agree. Artemis RK, what do you think? So on Monday we had Phil Loadholt. And he I can't remember if he was asked directly about local guys because he's a local kid himself from Colorado.
Right.
But he said he wants to make it a priority to keep specifically the best offensive linemen in state. And he mentioned, we've got good guys elsewhere. We need to try and keep them here. What do you think about that and working with people like Matt McChesney?
How do I say this? I don't care.
Fair enough.
Now, let me clarify.
Uh-huh.
It's like if you say this on Twitter,
Right.
it looks bad.
Yeah.
Say it on the show, you can explain what you mean.
Yes.
As long as the Buffs bring in high-level offensive linemen, I don't care if they came from Boulder, Botswana, or
Bulgaria,
or Broomfield. But I will say that if there's one position that Colorado can consistently produce at a high level, it is offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's one position where it's important, and maybe not even important, but sustainable to invest in recruiting in Colorado, it's offensive line. So I'm absolutely on board with it. But when I'm honest, I don't care where the players come from if they're good.
I mean, we don't have any right now on the offensive line.
Yeah.
Offensive line looks pretty good.
Exactly. And that's not a dig at Colorado recruiting or anything like that. It's just I really don't think it matters. It's something that has been talked about for many years in terms of recruiting. You got to recruit your own backyard and this, that, and the other. And I think there is a point where you got to get guys, right?
Yeah.
You don't want Christian McCaffrey leaving the state. You don't want Kenny Bell leaving the state, who became, at the time, I think, Nebraska's all-time leading receiver. But if you worry too much about it, you end up taking kids under your standards because you're trying to play these games and keep up these relationships. And, I mean, coaches in Texas and Florida and Alabama and Georgia all know this to a T because they're constantly playing games and politics with high school coaches. But when you do it there, you're doing it for a much higher caliber of player. You can't play the home state recruiting politics game in Colorado, or else you'll end up hurting the roster. So I love kids from Colorado the same way that Coach Prime says, like, he got a special place in his heart for kids from Florida. Of course, like the Phil Lindsays resonate more with me because they grew up going to games and loving Colorado and wanting to put it on their chest, and that note resonates with me. But I would never criticize a coach who's bringing in high-level talent from where they're getting the talent.
Yeah. That's all. Yeah, that's all fair enough. I think that you've just increased your chances though with another local guy like Loadholt, who's been there, done that at the NFL level, and now he's coming, back here. Like, I think if anything, you just have more pull for these guys in state, these Gage Ginthers and.
Yep.
Such.
In the end, what Coach Prime has done for the brand of the University of Colorado will bear itself out when there's those high-level players like Blake Purchase.
Yeah.
The next time, once, now that we have had some time to lay down roots here.
I saw someone said Zelinskas is a Colorado kid. Yes, you're right.
You're right.
What else we got? Big TZ again. Anything about an improved special teams? Sheesh. Yeah, we didn't have any special teams talk today.
It's a long way from football season to be talking about special teams. When you've been up there and you talk to the coaches and players every single day, then you start running out of things to talk about. You start asking about special teams, or they start bringing up, special teamers to the podium.
Yeah,
it's very early to be talking about special teams.
Yeah,
but I agree, they need to improve.
Well, look, we've got improved depth all around on the roster. That should improve the special teams probably most directly, because guys are going to still try and get on the field. You're going to have guys like Smoke who are going to come in and just be like, I'm ready to contribute on special teams. He talked about that yesterday after Pro Day, too, about how he felt like that really prepared him for taking this next step in his football career into the NFL. There's Pro Day content coming, by the way. There's going to be a video out. Artemis Robbins asked the guys, would they ever consider calling a game for the local broadcast? Ask us?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess that would be radio, because they don't necessarily have local TV broadcasts of the games. But first and foremost, Mark Johnson already does an amazing job of that.
Yep.
And for football, Gary Barnett as well on the call with him. But if an opportunity like calling the spring game were to ever present itself, of course, that would be amazing.
Sign us up, man.
Yep.
Tally Heat, are we getting another jersey number show this spring? There's a few questions I'm surprised Coach wasn't asked today, this kind of being one of them.
Maybe people are getting better at questions.
What did you think about it today?
I thought it was above average.
I thought it was solid too.
Yeah. I can't remember. Oh, there's one time I looked over at you to be like, get a load of this guy, but I can't remember what it was.
I just got annoyed during Shedeur's that we weren't getting the mic. That's all.
Well, that wasn't really anyone's fault either.
Right.
What happened was the mic started in the way back. So then you and me were like, it's got to go to us. But everyone between the back and front had already asked for it. So it had to get passed up, and it never made it to us. They apologized. Our guy apologized afterwards. I didn't hold anything against him, but it was a little bit of a bummer that we didn't get to ask Shedeur a question.
I was pretty annoyed, though, because I was ready to ask Coach a question, and then people just kept on, without the mic, asking questions.
Yep. And then he went into his closing statement.
Yeah, and then Coach Prime just went off, and it's like, all right, let the guy cook. And then he ended with the line, and it's like, how am I supposed to ask a question after that? And he gets up.
I think we should just start doing a thing where one of us gets the first question, one of us gets the second question, or the third, because it'll go to the other side.
Right, yeah. Yeah, we need to hold on to it.
Yep. If I get it first next time, I'm just sliding it over to you.
Let's do it. Maestro, will Jimmy get boxes out in this loaded wide receiver room?
Boxed out.
Guys, it's too early to do this.
Well, and I got to say this, because I've talked about this a little bit before, but I feel like we have this, I think it's because of social media and the way that it works is the hotter your take is, the more engagement it gets, right? Mm-hmm. And I think in that has become this built-in thing where to build someone else up, you got to put someone else down.
Right.
And so this isn't meant to directly call out, because people are going to know exactly what tweet I'm talking about. And I don't even know who said it. And I don't mean anything specifically about that person. But the tweet that came out was like, LeJontay Wester is so nasty. Jimmy Horn might need to get a red shirt. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be able to play in front of, or whatever it was. Like I said, I don't remember it exactly. It doesn't have to be like that. LeJontay can be a beast, which he is.
Yep.
And that's who I was going to ask Shedeur about. But that doesn't mean that Jimmy's never going to get to play. And we've talked about this before, but we get so caught up in starters and non-starters and this, that, and the other thing, because it's the offseason, we need things like that to talk about. But why would you not have a 4-wide set that's Will Shepard, Omarion Miller, with LeJontay and Jimmy on the inside?
Yeah.
Of course you would have that.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so many different ways you can get these guys involved. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Yes.
Pat Shurmur said today, he feels like he's done a great job of feeding all the mouths. There's going to be a lot of passes to go around this year. And I think Jimmy is going to do just fine for himself.
It's what Neely says all the time. Just because I say I like chicken doesn't mean I don't like steak. We can talk about other guys, and it doesn't mean that we're saying that everyone else below or everyone else in that position room that's not them is not going to be good or anything.
Yep. But like if I were to tweet out right now, Nikola Jokic is the GOAT, it would do decent.
Yeah.
If I were to tweet out Nikola Jokic is the GOAT and Joel Embiid is ass, it would do better. You got to lift someone up. Or people feel like you got to push someone down to lift someone up. It makes it more, it gives it more more juice. And I feel like that's what's happening with Jimmy. LeJounte can be dope and Jimmy can be dope, and that's just okay.
I feel like we're being pressured to wrap up.
You need to get in here? We're just talking ball.
Hey, man.
Just wondering if this is a bonus episode.
It's a bonus episode. We got
We're going an extra half hour. What's going on?
We had a lot to talk about
today. 5
today.
press conferences bonus episode.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel to see all of those.
Yes. Actually, you should, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel.
Yeah.
As press conference season is upon us, we pride ourselves, can't always guarantee it, pride ourselves on having it up first more than anyone else.
We try our best.
It's a great silent battle that goes on every single day after those pressers. It's never been acknowledged, but everyone's like,
yep. D Mills doesn't even see you on camera, and he knows it's you.
D Mills knows. D Mills knows balls better than anyone.
He does. Look at Lone Wolf too.
Tell Dre to hold his horses.
Yeah.
Oh,
no! It looks like you got a meeting.
Get out! I don't want to see you till Friday.
It says right on the door.
Yeah,
no phones in the studio.
How many times do we have to tell you? All right.
Right there on the sign. No hats either. Oh shit! You're in trouble now.
Yeah,
no hoodies.
Take out those earrings. Oh, that's good. Yeah, what a day. Thankful you're back, though, man.
It's great to be back. Let's get a little bit of rest and do a watch along tonight for the basketball game.
Yeah, so watch along tonight for the basketball game. If you guys want to throw us on a second screen, we'll be hanging out. Me, RK, Harrison from the Nuggets podcast. Henry will be there too. I think some other people will jump on as well.
Love it.
It's gonna be fun. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Let's go Buffs.
Let's go Buffs.
We all silly like the mayor.